There's way too many people that think you need loads and loads and loads of hours in Rocket League to actually rank up. The truth is, it's just about efficiency and how efficient you train. I got SSL last season with 20 hours past 2 weeks, and to a lot of people that might seem crazy, but the reality is it doesn't really matter how many hours you have in the past 2 weeks. It just depends on how you train outside of the game and how you can improve based on your circumstances. A lot of people like me don't have time to play Rocket League all day. I have a job, I have school, I have extracurriculars, and there's things that I just don't have time to do, and playing Rocket League for 1,000,000 hours a week is one of them. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to rank up in as little time as possible so that you can be as efficient as possible and you can have time for other things while improving in Rocket League. Starting out, we need to take a step back and understand, what do we want to do? In basketball, for example, there's different positions. You know, you have your point guard, power forward. You're never going to see someone who's like a power forward practicing three-pointers. How many times do you see someone like Shaq practicing his three-pointer? Almost never. And it's the same thing with Rocket League. You want to play off of your strengths, and a lot of people might argue with that. You want to play with your strengths so that you can be the best player you can be, and don't play off your weaknesses. If you play off of your strengths and let your teammate deal with the areas that you're weak in, you don't ever have to waste time practicing things that you're not good at. You're only going to be practicing your strengths and playing with your strengths, which is how you can become as good as possible, as fast as possible. Now, once you get to the pro level, sure, I guess you could argue that you would need to be good at everything. Quite frankly, I'm not a pro, so I don't really know how valid that is as an argument. But getting back into actually how to train efficiently, we need to look at our positions. And I do have a playstyle guide. You guys could watch that if you want. I go really in depth about all the different playstyles and how to know which playstyle suits you best. So I'm not going to go into that again. But what I will tell you is that once you have your playstyle that you prefer, since I already did make the video, I'm just going to go over it really briefly just so you're not completely lost if you don't want to watch the video. Basically, in 1v1, there's really no play styles because you're just adapting to the opponent. And at least in my play style, I just air dribble up all the time. So there's no play styles because you're just adapting, and there's no rotation because, I mean, you just don't rotate in 1v1. That's just not how 1v1 works. It's not like you're rotating for your teammate to go, because that's the whole point of rotation in 2v2 and 3v3. On a 2v2, there's your first man and second man, and then a hidden third man. So first man's job is just to pressure. Second man has the most difficult job because he has to cover and support. So when I say cover, that's your third man part. He has to support you as a teammate, and he has to cover any threats that may happen. And in 3v3, you have your first, second, and third man. First man, same thing, pressure. Second man is just to support you as a teammate, like be open for passes and whatnot. And then the third man's job is to cover. So it's the same thing in 2v2, but you just have to concise it down to your second man. And your first man's always going to be your easiest job. Despite what people think, it's much easier to ball chase and to try to force out possessions and apply pressure than it's going to be to support and cover someone. Now that we understand the roles, we need to understand what we want to be. So you just pick a role. That's really all you have to do, is pick your favorite role. So let's say you want to be someone who is a really aggressive ball chaser, okay? Like you really like just chasing for whatever reason. And chasing isn't necessarily bad. A lot of people have this negative connotation that chasing is bad. It's really not if you chase correctly, and if you apply pressure the correct way, you can chase and especially be good at chasing like Zen. You'll see often Zen and Fatira will play 2v2, and Zen is obviously a dedicated ball chaser. Though he didn't tell me that and I don't speak French, I can just tell by the way that they're playing that Zen is ball chasing and Fatira is just supporting him. Especially when they're queued together, they're probably in comms. Once you choose your role, all you have to do from here is train based on what your role requires of you. So just going back to basketball, for example, if we're training to be a point guard, we need to be practicing our three-pointer. Right? We need to be practicing our passing. We need to be practicing things that require our position to have. Back to Rocket League, if we want to be a ball chaser, we need to learn how to play fast. A ball chaser is going to be the fastest player on the field at all times. Like, you know, Ahmed, Zen, bunch of players, they're always going to be the fastest player in the field because they're ball chasing, and their entire point is to be pretty much everywhere at once. They always want to be on the ball and forcing a possession giveaway from the opponent. Once you pick, you want to pretty much just understand what your role requires of you. So to be a ball chaser, you need to be really fast. If you want to be a supportive player, you need to learn how to pass the ball. That's the whole point. If you're going to support someone, you have to learn how to pass the ball. You have to learn how to position yourself in a way that enables your teammate to be a better player. Remember, in Rocket League, especially in a team mode like 2v2 or 3v3, the whole point is to make your teammate's life as easy as possible. So you need to be able to enable your teammate if you're a passive player. You need to be able to apply pressure if you're a ball chaser. And then once you know those roles, train for that. So how do you actually become a faster player in Rocket League? And honestly, it's pretty easy. You have to practice, right? Now, I know I said at the start that, you know, even on low hours, you can still learn and improve, but you have to understand what your playstyle is, and the only way to do that is by practicing. Now, whether that's 8 hours a week for 6 weeks, so 48 hours in total, or maybe that's, you know, however many hours you have, you need to be training for what your role requires of you. And then once you actually understand this training and you have a fundamental base for it, you won't have to train it again. Once you actually learn how to be fast, you're not going to train to be fast anymore, because it's kind of like riding a bike. It's like, if me as an SSL stopped playing the game for 6 months, which I've been through this, by the way, and then I went back on the game, I could get SSL again probably within a week, maybe less, because it's like riding a bike once you understand the game at a fundamental level. And so that's all you have to do, and you'll be set on low hours. And you'll notice that players in Pro Play RLCS that have like 30-40 hours past 2 weeks, whereas there's players like Apparently Jack, not to hate on Apparently Jack, he's a great player, but there's players like Apparently Jack who said in one of his most recent videos,
so I'm putting in slightly less hours than usual, but I'm still floating around. I'm on 91 past 2 weeks, but that's like my lowest in a while.
And then there's players that play with 40 hours past 2 weeks, a third, and I'm not going to say they're just as good as Apparently Jack, but they're reaching the same goal. You know, there's really no way to compare players in Rocket League in such a simple video. Like, I mean, I could make a video on who's a better player or who, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, it's opinionated and speculative, but there's so much that goes into it, so I'm not even going to compare who's better there. But what I will say is they're both in RLCS, and they're both pro players, but one of them has 120 hours, and one of them has 40, and part of it is honestly just genetics. Some players on low hours are just going to play significantly worse than that same player would on high hours, just because of, you know, how they are, if they really need to warm up for a long time. It's genetic a little bit, but to train and to be efficient, it's all just in the way that you play outside of ranked. That's pretty much all I have in this video. I hope you guys got something out of this video. If you did, please be sure to like and subscribe and comment what you got out of this video. I have a Discord server where I talk to people daily, and you guys can ask me questions, ask for tips. I'll help you guys out. See you on the next one. Peace.